Oh, that was before Star Wars. So
Well, yeah, sadly, he didn't live long enough to see Star Wars, so or Casablanca for that matter.
or Casablanca, yeah, or Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
Yes, that's
Hey, it won an Academy
you
Award, man,
you got to
1955. Look it up.
you got to put that.
Google it.
That's got to be in the top 10. Of course. Of course. Uh, but yeah, man, that movie is definitely in the top 10. Not my top 10, but somebody's top 10.
I put it in my top 10.
Seven prize for seven brothers.
What's
Okay.
wrong with Seven? Come on, man. It's good. You
All
watch
right,
it.
man. Hey, you know
Watch
what?
it again. You might like it. You've never watched it, have you?
I have. I have. In
Really?
fact, I think you made me watch it once.
Once is not enough.
All right. We are back.
We are
Again.
back.
Number 4 now.
Number 4.
Yeah,
I tell you, we're gonna hit 5.
we're steaming for that last one, number 5.
Yeah, we have a goal.
Okay, so once again, subscribe, like, dislike, comment. All of that would be great. So we all appreciate that. So let's get some likes and dislikes and comments, please.
Yeah. So I got a short list of topics, just
Okay.
things that I've been kicking around, things that I've been thinking about, or that we touched on in our discussions. And I narrowed it down to 4. So I'll give you multiple choice. You tell me which one you want to talk about,
Okay.
right? And
It's like a game show.
it is a game show. Exactly. This is going to be good, right? Except you're not going to win a car. All right.
Go ahead.
All right. All right. Choice number 1.
Uh-huh.
Right. Convention of States.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Choice number 2. See, I've been on social media a lot, right?
Okay.
Choice number 2. Education is a right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Choice number 3. United we stand for Cap.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. I kind of like that one. Okay.
And choice number 4. Bachelorette parties.
Bachelorette parties? What does that mean?
Bachelorette parties. You've not seen a bachelorette party? You don't know what they are?
I'm assuming it's just women who get together and have a party. It's like a bachelor party, but with women.
Yes, that's exactly what that is. Yeah. You've never seen one?
I know they exist. I know what they are. I
mean,
I wasn't sure if that was a euphemism for something different. Like there was something political about
how much more euphemistic does it have to be? It's not a euphemism. I mean, it's a walking euphemism in and of itself. We don't need to make that more. We don't need to expand on that. Yeah. So those are your choices.
It's either going to be 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Let's do United for Cap.
This morning, the spotlight on football star Colin Kaepernick for taking a stand by refusing to stand. The San Francisco 49ers quarterback remaining seated during the playing of the national anthem at 3 preseason games, a protest, he says, over police brutality against African Americans.
Let's go with that one.
All right. Well, then basically what I wanted was your take on this whole situation. Like, what the heck is going on there?
We're talking about Colin Kaepernick, correct?
That's the guy.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't talking about baseball caps or anything like that.
No.
I listen to a lot of sports talk radio, and I've been listening to a lot of it recently. And it really frustrates me because a lot of them are all about Kaepernick.
Right.
They're all about supporting him and this and that. And I think it's changed actually recently because before people were kind of more understanding of the NFL and the owners saying, well, it's a distraction and he hasn't really been playing that well. So, they understand why they haven't signed him. But I think it changed a little bit when the team, was it the Dolphins, signed they signed Jay Cutler as a backup instead of Kaepernick. And so I think a lot of people were wondering, well, why did that happen when Kaepernick is, got better numbers and is more versatile. So I think just that one signing changed a lot of people's viewpoints on whether or not this is becoming a blackball situation or not.
You ain't engaging in hyperbole?
Hey, listen.
Is Jay Cutler not and juxtaposed to Colin Kaepernick? Is Jay Cutler right now not the epitome of white privilege in the United States of America? What did he do to deserve this job? What did he do? Is he better? Is he better? What did he do?
Could it be possible that these...
So, my opinion is
why's it got to be a blackball?
I don't know, man. That's the term, okay? Maybe we should put a disclaimer out, Anyway,
it's just a language. I didn't invent it.
My opinion is the guy is not that good. He's not that good, and when you couple that with the fact that he is going to be a locker room distraction, I wouldn't sign him either. So,
does it have anything to do with the protest itself, or just the distractions? How do you differentiate that?
Well, the protest is a distraction. That is a distraction.
It is. I mean, is it? I mean, he takes a knee during the national anthem. I mean. Is that the distraction you don't want? What's happening on camera, being associated with your team, or is it something deeper in the team, like the rest of the team's reaction to what's going on? Because a lot of them, back when it was even news, they were joining in. So how distracting could that part be?
Well, right. So. That's why I say it's a distraction, because now the protest itself is news. It's something that's besides the football team and the football game. So now it's something that the team has to handle because it's now news. Now, not just sports media, but all media now is descending upon the team and asking them questions about the protest. And maybe you even have some players on the team that disagree, but don't necessarily want to say anything because it may make them sound not
racist.
Tolerant. Well, yeah, or just not tolerant. And so that could cause dissension within the team. But yeah, I mean, anytime the media is asking your team questions that has nothing to do with the sport, that becomes a distraction.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand why Colin Kaepernick did what he did, and if the NFL is okay with it, then I guess he has the right to do that. But my opinion is that you really should not have the right to have a protest while you are working. That your company that you work for has the right to tell you, you can't do that while you're on the clock.
Hundreds turned out in southwest Detroit last Thursday, part of nationwide protests of President Donald Trump's immigration policies. 22 workers at this Macomb County business elected to join the protest or just stay home rather than show up to work that day. They were fired. One of the co-owners of Easy Industrial Solutions in Chesterfield Township confirmed the action off camera and in a later phone call.
Yeah, well, I mean, that makes perfect sense to me. I know there are a lot of places where you can't, you can't wear your company uniform and go to a protest or whatever. A lot of places are like that. You know?
Right.
So for that to happen with the NFL, I mean, the same thing. I mean, you're there wearing our uniform. I mean, that's you represent us. That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
But my personal, my take on all of that though is okay. I remember who Kaepernick is because of the fantasy football when he was my quarterback in fantasy football, and he was good. Right, he was good.
A few years ago, he was
a few years ago, and he was winning for me. But I don't know if everybody remembers that particular year, but I do, right? Because he was my quarterback in fantasy, and he started to suck. Okay, he was not good that entire year. His stats looked good that entire year because toward the end, I mean, it didn't fall off soon enough really to wreck anything. But he started to suck enough to where I swapped him out for my secondary quarterback, Tannehill.
Colin Kaepernick's decline from a Super Bowl quarterback to going on the bench behind Blaine Gabbert is very pronounced statistically. In 2013, Kaepernick's decision-making in the pocket was pretty good. He had a 68.3 QBR, sixth best in the league, and he completed 60.5% of his passes with 16 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. This year in the pocket, he has the league's fourth worst QBR at 39.7, and he's averaged fewer than 7 yards an attempt. Despite his range and speed, Kaepernick has never been great outside the pocket. His QBR rating outside the pocket in 2013 was 30.1. This year's QBR is 38.5, but his yards per attempt dropped dramatically from 7.13 in 2013 to 5.27 this year.
Right? So if Tannehill is in there instead of Cap, you know that Cap is sucking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I see why they did. Why the Dolphins would have taken Cutler. I would have taken Cutler too. I'm taking anybody I could. But not Cap, and that's because he sucks. Truth be told. I mean, if you're looking for your third string, you're already scraping the bottom of the barrel anyway. I mean, really, you're going to say, well, this bit at the bottom of the barrel is slightly more versatile than this other bit at the bottom of the barrel. I mean, come on, man, come on, that's ridiculous. So I think they got rid of him because he sucks, and the protest is not helping him. I think it should by rights be hurting him, and the very fact that you got Hollywood getting behind him trying to get him his job back, even though he sucks. That's just dumb. The whole thing is ridiculously dumb.
Rush hour became a little bit more crowded than usual on Wednesday afternoon as hundreds of people came to the United We Stand Coalition rally in front of the NFL headquarters to support Colin Kaepernick.
Colin Kaepernick, I don't want him to have to wait for 30 years to know we celebrate him. You waited 20, 30 years to tell us we can celebrate Muhammad Ali. We ain't waiting now right now. We celebrating Colin Kaepernick right now, today. I stand with Cap.
Mark talked about Dr. King's letter from a Birmingham jail, that there were a group that didn't want Dr. King to be there. And he said, I'm here because injustice is here. I want the media to see not just those who are speaking, but the countless thousands who are here standing.
Well, and again, I mean, this is something that seems to come out the left all the time, which is it's not merit-based. Like, for some reason, they don't believe in jobs being a meritocracy. That's the word, right?
Meritocracy.
That is meritocracy. That's the word. Okay, well, then I'll tell you what. Then let's stop keeping score because that scoreboard, that is a meritocracy. That scoreboard is
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you suck, that scoreboard is going to reflect that. So let's stop keeping score. Let's put Kaep back in, Pop Warner, and nobody keeps score. Everybody gets a trophy. And we'll just see what kind of ratings that generates. I mean, that ought to be pretty sweet.
Well,
Let me guess, Gary, you're one of those win-at-all-cost parents.
No, not really.
Gary, it's important that we teach these little guys, the youth of the nation, that in the real world, there are no winners and losers, only participators.
I don't understand.
Okay, well, let me break it down. One day, little Morgan is going to apply for his dream job.
Yeah.
But there are going to be 100 other little Morgans who want that same job. So the boss can only give the job to all of them. Isn't that great?
No.
that's what I'm talking about, though. I mean, from kids. They start young and go, oh yeah, everybody it's just great that you're participating, and then they these kids grow up and they end up in a real job, and they wonder when they're not performing why they keep getting write-ups, and then why they can't hold a job.
And here comes your annual review. It's like, oh well, thank you for participating.
Yeah. Thank you for participating. Guess what? We're going to promote you to customer. I mean, so, yeah, and they can't handle it. So, yeah, I mean, and the same thing with like teaching. I don't understand. I know this is a different topic, but it's the same thing. It's like, okay, so these people have been here for years and years and years, so we'll just guarantee their job then, whether they are terrible at it or not.
He videotaped kids shooting crap in the back of the room. He videotaped teachers reading newspapers. We had a teacher put a kid's head in a soiled toilet.
Where's our teacher?
They mic me up live, turn on the television, and I see all of this going on. So the guy asked me, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to fire these people. My staff is in the back of the room going like this, like, man, you can't fire nobody. You can't say that. I thought I was in charge.
Howard Fuller fired the worst teachers in the video, but was forced to rehire them with a year's back pay because of a provision in the teacher's contract called tenure, which guaranteed their jobs for life.
You're jumping topics, man.
I know.
Topics.
I know.
No, I mean, I get you, but I don't think tenure's an issue in the NFL, is it?
No, but that's my point is you've got these people, these Hollywood types who are like, well, let's get him his job back. Why? Because he went out there and he protested while on the clock. So that's why he should have a job. Not because he's any good. Not because he can actually help a team. I mean,
no, I mean that's exactly that's why it's ridiculous on its face, right? Because you're trying to get the guy's job back, but he sucks, right? Then you take into account the fact that he's going basically against company policy by having his little protest right there in uniform, representing the team. Not even representing the whole city. So maybe in San Francisco that kind of stuff is okay, but there are a lot of places where they still like the United States. And then you take into account again the fact that protest is just dumb. The whole thing is what black people are being killed by cops, so I'm going to take a knee during the national anthem. Is there nothing else in the United States besides cops killing black people?
I mean, listen, if the guy, whatever stance he wants to have, fine. Have whatever stance you want to have. Just don't do it while on the job. I mean, I don't think anybody would have said anything if, as Colin Kaepernick, he went out there on his own personal time and started talking about, how, he believes in Black Lives Matter and that he supports them, and he doesn't think that, that people value Black lives. If he went out there on his own, outside of company time, I don't think anybody would have had a problem with that, and nobody would have.
I don't think anybody would have heard about it.
Yeah. Well, they may have. It depends on how loud he wants to be, and that might be the reason why he did it. During company time on national TV, because he thought that if he did it any other way, nobody would have heard about it. I disagree. I think that he could have made enough of a stink. All you'd have to do is go on a couple talk shows and start talking about it loudly, and you could have made it news. Absolutely. So
football is commercial. You have owners, you have fans, and you want to honor that if you're making that kind of money. If you have a cause, I think you should organize it, present it in a manner where it's not only you sitting on one knee, but a lot of people that is going to get behind each other and do something about it. If I ask you one question, who is calling on to follow what he's talking about? So many of us have always done it, and we're here to help anyone that wants to do it. But I would advise a young man, if you're a football player, play football. If you're going to be a real activist, use your money, use your notoriety. I didn't want to make it this long, but it does have meaning to me, and I think that I want to be in his corner, and I do think God bless him, but that's not my leadership.
Maybe. I don't know. I just think that I just don't see the two necessarily equating. You're taking a knee at the national anthem to disrespect the country. I don't know if that was how he wanted to phrase it, but basically that's what he's doing, right? He's disrespecting the country on purpose because apparently, Black people aren't valued in the United States. I disagree, since many of his compatriots there in the NFL are in fact African American, and he was raised by two white people, I assume, right, who gave him plenty of love and nurturing. So why would he, why would he think that all white people are horrible racists when he was raised by two of them? Who obviously weren't racist, because they loved him.
I don't know that he believes that. I don't think he's ever said anything to that effect.
Well, not about his parents necessarily, but to think that all the cops are yes, evil, racist bastards. Right. I mean, it really kind of you're coupling it all together. It's not like it's not like all the black. It's not like all the cops are black or whatever. I mean, they're not. They're not any one race. So it's weird to call the cops racist against blacks when they're just representative of the population.
The funny thing is, man, I've actually heard people say that black people who are cops, black cops, have been twisted and into disliking their own people. I've heard that before. I'm not saying that everybody believes that, but I've heard people say that before.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. I mean, I don't think we're going to come up with a cure for the racial ills of our nation that quickly.
No, so. Well, we definitely will not. We definitely will not. I mean, that is a tough subject.
I think it's made all the tougher by the fact that the only cure for it has been labeled racist. To see everyone as an individual, to rate people based on their merits, their abilities, even their charms. But on an individual basis, that's apparently the pinnacle of racism now. To say I don't see race, I just see a man, or I just see a woman. Well, that's racist, man. And now that's the way we're defining it. Now that we're calling calling color blindness racism, well, that's not going to help. That sends us backwards, because now we all have to talk about race all the time. And that way, we'll never find a cure. As long as we divide people up based on skin color, we're never going to find a cure for racism. Yep.
Well, and the sad thing is, the people who are saying, well, we're trying to help you as a minority, are actually doing it so that they can divide people, so that then they can consolidate their own power.
Yeah,
and people don't realize they're being duped.
That's the part that gasses me. Is that they don't see it. They don't see it for what it really is. I don't know, but the idea calling people racist and dividing everybody up and then saying somehow that's going to be the cure. That's not the cure. Giving people, money, making them dependent on the government, that's not helping the poor. These things we've seen. They've been working on them for how many years now? Close to 100 if you want to start with, Woodrow Wilson. I don't know if there was too much before that, but definitely you can trace it back to him. And we've been trying it ever since, doing different iterations in different ways, and it's not working. Unless, of course, what you want is the opposite of what you say you want. And then it's working like charm, Yeah,
and the funny thing about Woodrow Wilson is he really, really loved that movie, Birth of a Nation. He did. Excuse me. Yeah, I've heard quotes from him that he said it's one of the greatest movies ever made. So I don't know if that's true, but
that was before Star Wars. So
well, yeah. Sadly, he didn't live long enough to see Star Wars. So or Casablanca, for that matter.
Or Casablanca, yeah. Or Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
Yes, that's.
Hey, it won an Academy Award, man. 1955. Look it up.
You gotta put that.
Google it.
That's gotta be in the top 10. Of course.
Of course. Of course. Of course. Of course. Of
course. But yeah, man, that movie is definitely in the top 10. Not my top 10, but somebody's top 10.
I put it in my top 10.
Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. Okay.
What's wrong with Seven? Come on, man. It's good. Watch it,
man. Hey, you know
what? Watch it again. You might like it. You've never watched it, have you?
I have.
Really?
In fact, I think you made me watch it once.
Once is not enough.
Okay.
I heard somebody on the internet a while ago. They said, the most quotable movie was Casablanca, right?
It's quotable.
I grab Bugatti, then she walks in. Well, that's the way it goes. One in, one out. Sam.
Yes, boss.
It's December 1941 in Casablanca. What time is it in New York?
What? My watch stopped.
I bet they're asleep in New York. I bet they're asleep all over America. Of all the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, she walks into mine.
It is quotable, but I don't think it's the most quotable movie. No. I think Trading Places. I have had more situations where I was able to, do you want some beef jerky? I mean, come on, that, right? Right? It's like you could quote that movie, and then you could immediately quote, "Oh no, son, gives me the wind, something terrible." I mean, you could quote the whole thing, man. The whole
Sweden.
Oh, so Jim Belushi was in there. Monkey, gorilla, you clown.
I am a chain belt in Kung Fu. Bruce Lee was my teacher. Watch this. That's called the quarter blood technique. You do that, a quarter blood will drop out of a person's body.
Tell how you beat on the cop.
Wasn't no cop, man. It was cops. Plural. 9, 10 cops. Beat the shit out of 10 cops and had to change my whole strategy around.
Yo, when they brought you in here and booked you, you was crying like a pussy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think the issue is that not as many people has seen Trading Places or remember Trading Places as much as Casablanca. So, I think that's
sad.
the issue.
That's sad that people are that uncultured.
Trading Places is more cultured than Casablanca. That's.
I don't know that anybody really wants me to sit them down and give them my version of cultural training, because it's it's 7 Brides for 7 Brothers. It's Trading Places. It's Joe versus the volcano. I mean, I would have a whole breakdown of all the awesome parts of Joe versus the volcano.
All the metaphors.
Exactly. It is just rich with metaphors and just it's really impressive. It really is. It really is. It's like a lesson in figurative language. The whole thing.
I know you mentioned this before. I'm telling you, you should save this for when we talk about our favorite movies. So we should do that. And you
keep telling me to save everything. Save. I'm trying to talk about my favorite opera. You shut me down. I want to talk about my movie. You shut me down.
We're not even going to be able to talk about that this time because we're out of time. So
damn it.
I think we're going to have to leave the French thing for next time. So here's what we'll do. Okay, next video we'll talk about our favorite movies. And we'll do the French thing at the end. So we'll hit.
So we're not going to do French. Then what's? Are we doing languages?
I think we should. That's good, man. And we can get to obscure ones like dead ones.
Let's do an obscure one.
We can do like Aramaic. Like, how do you say bye in Aramaic?
I don't even know. Let me get my Google Translate. Hold on.
We could do like that scene from. We could do that scene from Monty Python, where he's like the castle.
Perhaps he was dictating.
Maybe he died while he was writing. There's another great movie, by the way.
That's another very quotable movie. That is in my top 10.
Let's do that. I think that'll work.
Okay. Well, there's no Aramaic in Google Translate, but there's Amharic, and that's pretty close, right? So let's go with. Bihina Hudi.
Who speaks that language? What country speaks that?
I don't know.
Okay.
The Adharians.
Okay. I'm
You're
not
making
even,
fun of the people.
I'm
Come
not-
on, man.
I'm not even
This
going to-
cultural enrichment, diversity.
I'm
You
not even-
saw.
I'm not even going to try to say that. Whatever it was you said.
It is. Hold on, let me get. I'm gonna make sure I'm reading it properly. Hold on. Bihina Huni.
Bihina Huni. That's pretty.
Bihina Huni.
Bihina
It's two
Huni.
words.
It sounds Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Bihina Huni.
Yeah.
So.
Wait, there's one for goodbye for now. Maybe it's different. Goodbye for now. Oh my goodness, I can't even try.
Okay, let's leave it to Bihina Huni.
Ahuni Yesi Mamalu.
Okay, great.
Yeah, let's just stick with Ahuni. Bihina Huni.
Bihina Huni.